Good morning, everyone. Thank you for staying here. And I like the energy in the room since yesterday. And we have reached the final round table. Unfortunately, the event will close at lunchtime because I think there are plenty of ideas and that we could continue the discussions throughout the week. But the event has this limitation, so let's take the most out of it and this last roundtable. The last roundtable is dedicated to the theme supporting next generations, and by next generations can be those that are not yet engaged in this kind of initiatives, but also the youngest and the kids that will be the future of initiatives related with STARTs. To introduce the theme, I have the pleasure to have Andrew Perkis and Alexa Murray-Leslie as keynote speakers, and I will already give you the stage to you.
Thank you very much, and welcome back from coffee. Of course, next generations can also be programs and initiatives and startups and etc. that are not that mature and that are younger. And I'd like to say that Alex and myself, we're going to share this presentation. I'll do the slightly boring stuff, the managerial stuff, which is also important when you're building up these kind of initiatives. And then Alex will do the fun stuff. So what we're going to try to do is I will explain how and why we're trying to set up a fairly new initiative. So in this room, it's young, I suppose. And what we have set up is something we are calling NTNU Art Tech, the Norwegian University of Science and Technology Art and Technology Task Force. Now, a task force can mean a lot, but it's certainly something that's moving forward, and that's what we're trying to do. We have even made a slogan for our initiative, and this is the slogan, the arts as enabling technology. Now, you could hear from the name NTNU that we are focused on technology, because we are the Norwegian University of Technology and Science, and we have a fairly sort of normal, fairly obvious strategic initiative. So in the strategy plan that ended 2020, the strategies for NTNU were education and learning environments, innovation, and also dissemination and communication. When the university made their new strategy plan, which is now for the period 2020 to 2025, they actually did something quite bold. And this is our response to the boldness, the arts as enabling technology. We have been able to build an organization, and I'm very proud of that. NTNU have 7 faculties in all. It's a large university. It's by far Norway's largest university. It's 45,000 students. Some of you might have heard of the University of Oslo, the University of Bergen. They're all provincial universities. We are the big one, although we're in the north, but we are double the size of University of Oslo. Of the 7 faculties, we have managed to, and this has not been an easy process, but we've managed to get NTNU Artec governed by a steering committee, which is formally led by 3 deans. So 3 out of 7 have said this is a good initiative and we want to support it. And for everyone building a new initiative at the university, it's incredibly important to have the deans on board. We even have the rector on board. So it's the dean of the humanities faculty, who's currently leading the steering committee, the dean of the architecture and design faculty, and the dean of the information technology and electronics faculty. That's my home faculty. Alex is with the architecture and design faculty. They have appointed formally a leader group, which I am the director. My associate, Professor Sara Brink, she is my vice director. And then we have Florian Schneider, who is in the core lead team. He is the department head of the Art Academy of Trondheim. Also, NTNU and Trondheim are fairly special because we are an all-inclusive university. We have everything inside the university bounds. We have the Fine Art Academy, we have the music school, we have the architecture, we have everything inside. So that means we have the potential of releasing the power of being together within the same scheme. We also have two very important tasks, which is a seminar series led by Hanna Musiol, and we have an artist in residence program, which is led by Alex. In a nutshell, what we're trying to do and the way we're trying to build is something that might be for the next generation. It includes young, it includes old, it's a way of thinking. And I'm very proud to say that in the new strategy, the only novelty is that they've added a fourth element, which is art activities. So at the top level of NTNU's strategy, and it simply says developing outstanding artistic communities, strengthening artistic development, interacting with technology, science, and society. I think that's our major achievement. We've managed to get it in the strategy for the next 5 years. Now it's up to us to see if we can build an action plan. To do that, we have always had a seminar series because we need to reach out to the other faculties. We need to reach out to everyone. We need to spread the word. We have a top-level seminar series and we have grassroots movements. We also have our artist in residence, of which the 2020 call is now open. We have done this now for 4 years. We are connecting to a European initiative, which is an initiative for infrastructures called DARIA, whatever you want to say. That's for humanities. So I think it's quite novel that we actually involve the humanities also, not only art and science, but art, science, and humanities. We also do mission-based research. Norway has just approved a new PhD in artistic research, which is a performance-based PhD. At least 60% of the dissertation of the PhD has to be performance or practice-based, only 40% in classical peer-reviewed paper writing and so. And we do communication and outreach. So we do embed artistic research, and we're trying to embed artistic research everywhere in the university, in all faculties and all departments. It's easier now with our members in steering. We do co-location of artists and scientists in research projects, and specifically through the PhD. We are hoping to get at least 15 PhDs within the new PhD program on board. This is not an art tech, but we support it. PhDs belong to departments and faculties. And we also try to run pilots and do some open research data. Now we have a focus for this year, and our 2020 strategy or action plan is to focus towards two things that are incredibly important for Norway. One is focus on the oceans. And we're fortunate enough to be in the part of Norway that's incredibly important for ocean research. Oceans is one of the thematic strategic areas of NTNU. Oceans is also probably one of the most important areas for innovation growth and also for our economy, of course. We have a ship, our own research vessel, which we are happy to say that some, or at least one of our artists in residence managed, I don't know how, but she actually managed to get on board that ship, and she's sitting here.
That's great. I was on standby.
And we also focus on missions towards smart cities, sustainability, smart cities. We have built an interactive installation park, which is way up in the corner, Adressaparken, and we also have a kind of a walking distance. It's 500 and something meters up to the Kunsthall, the contemporary art exhibition space in Trondheim. So we have our call open, and I think to support next generations and show a little bit of the artistic, I will hand over now to Alex.
Okay.
Please.
Can I use the clicker? Thanks.
The clicker.
Okay. Yep. Oh God. Huh. What's that? Just that
This one.
This one. Okay. Great. Okay. So yes, I'm Alex Leslie. I'm actually at the Trondheim Academy of Fine Art as a teacher, and I'm a co-founder of Chicks on Speed, which is a performance art collective. And I was doing the Artec Artist in Residence in 2018. And I actually didn't leave because I fell in love with the place, and now that's why I've ended up teaching, there. So just going to start with some examples and platforms from the Artec Air. And so this is from 2017, and it's the artist duo Jody, who created the Wi-Fi garden in the Adressaparken, which is the cyber park that Andrew was speaking about in Trondheim. And they investigated the phenomenon of tracking and how smartphone signals and usage track our daily movement in the Wi-Fi garden. So it was a spatial site-specific work. The questions that they set out to answer at the onset of the project were, what if we were visually aware of the data and analytics around us? How would this influence the movement and experiences of those who pass through the park? And so Jody created a new sort of net topology within the park to visualise the hidden waves of our digital behaviours and movements that were unconsciously built. And so the next is, I'll just show some highlights from my interventions there. Andrew was very kind. He gave me carte blanche. He said basically just go in and speak with as many people as you want and can. And so I moved around the university and in the community, in the art community in Trondheim and beyond. And my focus was on artistic research. And so I'd done a lot of art science residencies to date. I'm going to actually show some of these afterwards just to compare with what I think the NTNU Artec Artist Residency is about. But having done like the residency at Autodesk at Pier 9 and Symbiotica and worked at TBA 21, I felt like it was the best way to approach such a residency is to go without a preconceived idea. And I really just went in and just met as many people as possible, as I mentioned. So that was like scholars, engineers, biomechanists, structural engineers, music technologists. And I ended up doing a polysonography sleep study that was conducted at the Neuro Centre at St Olaf's Hospital with Associate Professor Ingvild Saksville-Lehoa. And she was from the Department of Psychology, and also worked with sleep researcher Morgan Enstrom from the Department of Neuromedicine and Movement Science. And so in a way it was seeing sleep as an active state, so seeing the bed as a sort of a performance space. And it was to bring awareness to the health impacts of sleep deprivation and look at sleep processes, take the data, so use qualitative and quantitative outcomes from this research. So for instance, like Ingvild would wake me up every couple of hours and ask me questions, you know, or using the data to create a visualization that then went on to become an immersive sleep sort of situation in a museum that was then shown at 401 Contemporary in Berlin as part of the major touring exhibition Sleep. And there was other pieces there from Warhol that you would know. This, I think it's an 8-hour film on sleep. So interconnecting with, you know, past works about sleep. I also went to, I should first talk about what my core of my artistic research is. I look into computer-enhanced footwear, so I design high heels basically for aerial and underwater performance. And so that could mean pole dancing, empowering trans pole dancers in Singapore. I was working at the CCA Centre for Contemporary Art with Uta Metabauer. And so taking these shoes into different environments. Oops, my slide's not there, okay. I get one slide, that's okay. Anyway, I'll show you another time. You can see it online. So these shoes I took into like the anechoic chamber, the reverberation chamber, and performed different sort of moves in there and collected data, sent the data around through aerials, and again, looking at these different laboratories as stages for a performance, but also wanting to interconnect with other people and have conversations that I might not have expected or been able to control. So in a way, it's about this situation of where things go out of control, and that's where I find it most interesting. You're totally outside of your comfort zone. I think I am, and the person I'm working with, which could be, I worked with Terrier in the signal processing lab, and just these conversations that developed, and, you know, understanding then an antenna and thinking, okay, so if I make the body an antenna, I can turn artistic swimmers into antennas, and they can put on my shoes, and they can then suddenly generate their own audio visuals so that they're not just like passive and looking all ladylike and swimming around, but we can turn it into this really feminist statement. So that's part of the research that is ongoing. So in a way, I could see this Artec Air as it was a platform to make initial connections, and these projects are obviously ongoing because artistic research is ongoing, and it's not that you just come to a point. It's a transformational process, and it's through experimentation that we realise new forms. So then the next year we have Pablo De Soto, who is pixelated there. And Pablo is, he was 2019 Air, and he's an activist, radical cartographer and experimental architect. And so Pablo worked on developing a public global climate strike event, which took place in the Adressa Park, and again at the Cyber Park. And he worked with young students, local activists, Extinction Rebellion, and music technologists to create an immersive participatory situation there. So the other artist resident we had with us was Nelly Benayoun. I think you know Nelly. So she's an experienced designer, critical explorer, the Willy Wonka of science, Dr. Nelly Benayoun. So Nelly, Nelly worked with a range of, well, basically Nelly said to us at the beginning of her residency, she pledged us Greek tragedy and reminded us all that throughout her residency that innovation often comes with multidisciplinary conflicts. I thought that was great. So Nelly collected new knowings for her upcoming film in progress through conversations and unknown encounters, including underwater explorations, looking at extremophiles. She produced Aquavit, which Andrew didn't really know about because it's illegal in Norway, worked with Indigenous peoples to gain a Sami worldview, checked out the invention of fire 1.5 million years ago, the extinction of species, the red list, lichens, how to plastinate moss, and she visited the Maritime Archaeology Committee of Trondheim and discussed the finding of the giant squid of 9 metres, which was found ashore in Ranheim in 1954, and much more. So her film will be out this year. Stay tuned. So just to go back to our residency, now that we have in 2020. So we changed our platform and we focus on promoting advanced practices in artistic and practice-based research. So the artistic research, we coined the term mission-driven research, and which happens through collaboration between art, humanities and technology, based around the strategic research areas, as Andrew was saying, oceans and smart cities. So our mission within the Artec Air is to foster transdisciplinary dialogues and innovative research that engages in critical reflection about the social and ethical dimensions of our technological global moment. And so the Air is open till 31st of March, and it would be great if you could spread the word. During the Air, we offer a 1-year fellowship. So it was actually 6 weeks before, and so now we've extended it to 1 year because we believe this, there's got to be some deep thinking made, and it takes a lot longer than 6 weeks. So we offer a very generous 30,000 euros in 6 weeks, also physically being at the Trondheim Academy of Fine Arts and working across the community of scholars. I just wanted to also make, as I was mentioning, make a comparison to what I feel would be similar to the type of Air that we have at NTNU, and it's this is from TBA 21 Academy. TBA 21 Academy, which you might know, is directed by Marcus Raymond and chairwoman Francesca Thyssen, and they offer an ocean fellowship that happens at Ocean Space in Venice. And the 3.5-month Ocean Fellowship, it has a total of 8 fellows, and they give them the opportunity to investigate the most advanced studies on the Anthropocene oceans. And in the past 3 years, Territorial Agency, who this image is actually by, and TBA 21 Academy have developed a long-standing collaboration with a community of artists, curators, scientists, marine biologists, philosophers, and ocean thinkers to inquire into the anthropocenic changes at stake in the world ocean. Another one is that you'll all know, this is Ionad Sur and Oren Katz from Symbiotica. Yeah, great people. And so they're from the Centre of Excellence in Biological Arts at the University of Western Australia. So since it was established, I mean, I think you all know this, a wonderful place. But anyway, I was actually there as an artist resident, and I worked with multiple people and actually got into biomechanics through Orion introducing me to the lab there. But so I'll go on just to show the work. One of the seminal pieces that came out of Symbiotic here is that by Guy Ben-Ari, which was exhibited at Ars Electronica, I believe, 2 years ago, I think. And it's called Cell F. And basically he took some, he went to Barcelona to one of the hospitals there and took some neurons and started to reproduce them and takes them around the world and feeds them and then connects them up to modular synthesizers, and then has jam sessions between his brain and various musicians. And this is actually some images from my residency at Autodesk. So Autodesk, I have to say, this was one of the most phenomenal artist residencies. It's such a shame it sort of stopped. Now it's changed, but it isn't what it was. I mean, they were like really very wild, I have to say. They basically said to the artists, we want you to, you know, do what you're not really meant to do with these machines. And when I started to work, they said, oh, we want you to be a little bit more daring. And so I was just like, wow, okay. And got to hack into 3D printers and dance with robots, which sort of wasn't allowed, but somehow got into the Octo Lab and started to work there, and turned every single person at Autodesk into a performer. They wore these overalls, and and then, so we became this massive performance art collective at Autodesk and had a great time. Anyway, so thank you very much.